We're incredibly pleased today to welcome back BP's Chief Economist Spencer Dale, who is responsible for advising the company's board and executive team on economic drivers and trends in global energy. This summer, just to provide a little context, BP announced that it was aiming to be net zero by 2050. Against this backdrop, this fall, the company released its annual energy outlook, which includes a number of bold predictions outlining what a clean energy transition could look like from their view. Today, Spencer's going to highlight or share some highlights of BP's energy outlook, including what a net zero world could look like.
Can you just start by giving us a sense of, almost to get the audience up to speed of how BP is allocating capital or making decisions today?
At the moment, our company is, we haven't got 100 eggs, more than 90 of our eggs are currently in that oil and gas basket. And what we are doing over a period of time is shifting those eggs, moving them across into other forms of energy, low carbon, zero carbon energy, making ourselves, if you like, a far more diversified energy company.
Nearly 20 years ago, BP rebranded as Beyond Petroleum. It announced that this kind of transition was coming, that it was moving beyond oil. And then due to a series of shocks in the energy market and kind of two unfortunate oil spills and a number of other factors, it I think left that scenario by the beginning of the recovery from the Great Recession. Why is this time different?
We also invested in a lot of business models which were sound, but they were based on the view that by now, carbon prices around the world would be $40 or $50 a ton.
Yeah.
And what you know, and many people on the call will know, is there are very few places in the world where carbon prices are $40 or $50 a ton. And so what we ended up doing was the business model made sense, but it was very hard for us to go more quickly than the rest of the world was moving because you lose money. Our strategy does not depend on policy changes. It will be greatly enhanced by policy changes, and we will do everything we can to advocate for those policy changes to help support a sort of accelerated pathway, but we're not banking on them.
Outside of BP, like as you as an observer of the global energy system, looking forward to the next 10 or 20 years, what's a question where you're like, oh, it's really going to be interesting to see how this one plays out?
I mean, there's two massive unknowns to me, I think. I think one is, do we look back at the pandemic and say that was a point or a significant turning point, a significant point of inflection for the energy transition. And the energy transition was so much faster beyond that point. The other really big unknown is, if I had a crystal ball, if I could look at it and see what it says, is what do we make of China's announcement to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060? Can China achieve that? And if it does, how will it do that? I think it's really profound. It's profound partly because China is such a large energy consumer and such a large emitter of carbon emissions today. But also by doing that, it could revolutionize the world. So China, to a very large extent, has revolutionized wind and solar power because it just produces that technology so cheap that everybody else can benefit from it, doing it. Will it do the same with hydrogen in terms of the electrolyzers to do that? Will it do the same in terms of CCUS technology? So I think it's what will happen to China. Will it achieve that target, and that sort of, what would that pathway look like?
Is there a particular technology question that you're focused on here outside of the kind of national question?
The challenge is applying the technologies that exist today at the pace and scale necessary to achieve those decarbonisation pathways. There's a very key role for governments to play here in terms of government policies. But governments can't do this on their own. They need to build a constituency supporting the decarbonisation. So it's not for somebody else to do, it's for all of us to do. Companies like BP, but also you and I as energy consumers. One of the features over the last few years that has been really surprising is the way that we see society demanding change more quickly, if you like, than governments. And you see this particularly in companies like us committing to net zero. And part of the dynamic of that is the people that invest in us demanding that we do that. I think that dynamic, if you like, society leading governments rather than governments leading society, we can see it.